voices of civil society as we focus on the Group of 20 Social Summit, which will be hosted from the 18th to the 20th of November. Here's an invitation for you to continue interacting with us on our various social media platforms. On X, Instagram and YouTube, you'll find us at Channel Africa 1. And on Facebook, we are at Channel Africa. Welcome to it. This is Africa in Business.
Connecting Africa to the world. Africa in Business with Thami Ngubeni brings you the latest insights on Africa's economy.
We begin here this afternoon with a look at Zimbabwe. Now, after decades of economic turbulence as well as hyperinflation that wiped out savings and confidence, Zimbabwe may finally be seeing signs of relief. The Confederation of Zimbabwe Industries, or CZI, reports that annual inflation measured in the gold-backed Zimbabwe Gold, or ZiG, dropped from 82.7% in September to 32.7% in October 2025. So, what does this mean for that country's economy? Dimakatso Leshuru filed this report.
The Confederation of Zimbabwe Industries projects inflation could halve again by the end of next year, landing between 15 and 20%. That would mark Zimbabwe's lowest rate in years if it happens. But with such a history of volatility, some economists are cautious. They see the drop as fragile, dependent more on gold prices and tight controls than lasting reform. For a country where inflation once hit billions of percent, projections alone cannot restore trust. Kevin Dudane is an independent political economist in Zimbabwe.
Inflation in Zimbabwe has been reported to be around 32.7% as of October 2025. And that has been on the back of the Central Bank of Zimbabwe being, implementing a tightened monetary policy. It has been very much well behaved, unlike in the previous years where we had central bank governors directing the central bank to engage in quasi-fiscal activities. So it has been really responsible. The Confederation of Zimbabwe Industries has actually predicted that we are going to have probably inflation in the range of around 15% by the end of this year. Well, that could be a little bit too ambitious if you ask someone like me, but I think we have to appreciate that the Central Bank of Zimbabwe is going in the right direction.
That direction has helped the ZiG remain steady, hovering between 26 and 33 per US dollar. Its partial gold backing combined with soaring gold prices has boosted credibility, yet the numbers may not tell the full story. Dafadzwa Ruzive at the University of Free State.
Last year in October, there was a once-off adjustment on the exchange rate of the ZiG to the US dollar. That depreciation caused inflation to spike for the month of October by 37.2%. When you then compare the month-on-month inflation for this year, September to October, it was only 1.4%. So when you add that 37.2 from the forex depreciation last October to the 1.4 this year, my plus minus some errors, they are going to land at 2.7 that they are showing this year. So the statistics are correctly calculated. They reflect the depreciation adjustment for the ZiG from last year. But the only concern that can come with these statistics is, yes, they are reliable, but I would say there are concerns about their theoretical and methodological concerns about their validity.
Ruzive argues that while inflation appears to be cooling, the data may understate real pressures on ordinary Zimbabweans.
If the gold price continues to increase, which I think it will, and the exchange rate is not adjusted, and the ZiG-denominated payments for services that have been granted to contractors can be paid at their going rates, I foresee there being an ability for the ZiG to absorb the imported pressures of the desire for forex that may come through outside of shocks that might come from national treasury and the central bank. If the central bank is keeping a tight ship, as you can see, it is not touching too much in terms of the exchange rate and interest rates, by the way. But the side that we do not know is national treasury. Which currency selection the national treasury is going to pick to finance activities going to the next year.
That's the crux of Zimbabwe's economic story, policy credibility. Inflation might be slowing, but the real test lies in reforming the tax base, formalizing the economy, and sustaining fiscal discipline. Tutane elaborates.
More in the area of ease of doing business, we need a lot of we need serious transitioning from the informal sector to the formal sector. As long as the informal sector is dominant, there's going to be issues. The government is going to collect much less revenues than it should. Right now, Zimbabwe's tax to GDP ratio, meaning of the overall economic activity, the government is only collecting between 4% to 7% in terms of tax to GDP ratio. Is too little. South Africa is a highly formal economy, around 25% informality, meaning 75% of business is done formally in South Africa, thereabouts. And South Africa's tax to GDP ratio is in the range of 26%. So Zimbabwe needs serious transitioning from informal sector to the formal sector so that the government can get more revenues. And with those more revenues, it can then finance more serious economic activity.
Economic growth is projected at around 6% for 2025, driven by mining and agriculture. But the key question remains, can policy discipline hold? Past recoveries have often stumbled when election cycles, droughts, or fiscal pressures reignited inflation. For Channel Africa News, I'm Dimakatso Leshoro in Johannesburg.
Ready to connect, innovate, and be inspired? It's all happening at Africa Tech Festival, where Africa's technology meets the world. From the 10th to the 13th of November in Cape Town, join global leaders, investors, and innovators driving the future of Africa's digital economy. Don't miss the continent's biggest week in tech. Get your pass now at africatechfestival.com.
Africa means business. Tune into Africa in Business with Thami Ngubeni for the future of the African economy. Channel Africa, the African perspective.
It is exactly 14 minutes after 4 p.m. Central African Time. The South African Cabin Crew Association at the low-cost carrier FlySafe Air is on strike after the wage talks between the association and the airline reached a deadlock. The labour union rejected the company's latest offer, which includes a 5.7% wage increase, a new 7.5% annual bonus, pay progression and additional monthly allowances. The work stoppage by SACA members started at midnight. For more on this, we joined this afternoon by the Deputy President of the South African Cabin Crew Association, Christopher Shabangu. A very good afternoon to you, sir. Welcome to Africa in Business. Mr. Shabangu, are you with us? All right, doesn't look like Mr. Shabangu is.
Sorry, I'm saying good afternoon to you and good afternoon to your viewers.
Lovely, it's great. We can hear you now. So how widely supported is this action among your cabin crew membership at FlySafe Air? And I wonder, do you have a clear mandate from the majority of the staff and the crew?
Okay, let me correct a few things. We are not on a strike. The South African Cabin Crew and Alliances Union is not on a strike. What has happened instead is that the company has locked out the employees or our members. So we are not at all on a strike. We don't even have a strike certificate. We don't even have a certificate of non-resolution. So at this moment, we are not in a strike. And worst of all, we do not intend on going on any strike. And this has been communicated to the company. What the company instead has done is that they have decided to lock us out. Just to give you a little bit of context, they gave us an offer last week on the 30th. They gave us an offer, and we are supposed to go and mandate our members with that offer, which indeed we did mandate our members. Our members rejected the offer that was placed by the company. What we did then as union officials, we looked at that offer. We said to the workers, look, we can't take you because we don't believe SAF Air will significantly increase this offer. So instead of going on a strike, there are items that need to be dealt with by the Department of Labor. And those items, we believe we can be able to get something out of that once it's deliberated by the Department of Labor. And the workers then listened to us and accepted the offer. As it stands, SACA accepted SAFA's offer.
Just for clarity, sir, is the offer that you're talking about, this 5.7% wage increase, are you saying that SACA has accepted that?
No, it's not the 5.7. increase. So the offer stands like this. The SAFE has offered 6%. They wanted a 4-year. They offered a 6%, 6.5 second year, 6.7 third year, or 6.8, and then last year 6.9. Then therefore also offered a 7.5 annual bonus every year for the next 4 years, and a sign-on bonus. They also offered 600 rands meal allowance, which equates to about 28 rand really per day. We accepted that. There's some other things there that they added, but we accepted that offer. As it stands, I tell you now, we accepted that offer. Where the problem began is there were items that we separated, 9 items that we separated, and we said, look, we'll sign this agreement and then allow the Department of Labor to come and deal with those issues. And those items are things like your injury on duty, lunch hour sacrifice, overtime, maternity, how they pay their maternity workers or workers that are on maternity, and other issues that were to be determined by the Department of Labor. Now, when we came to SAFE yesterday to come and sign the document that they had offered us, or the offer that they had given to us, to our surprise, we find that they have included at least one of the 9 items has been included in the main agreement, and we had not spoken to that yet. We had not negotiated it. We had not touched it. So they had maliciously included it in the main agreement. Obviously, we couldn't sign that. We requested them to take that out because we had agreed that the Department of Labor is going to deal with it. They refused. Instead, they decided to say, look, we don't know what you're talking about. This is the offer. We called CCMA to just try and confirm, are we getting this wrong? And CCMA confirmed, you guys have 9 items that are supposed to be dealt with by the Department of Labor, and here's the company offer. So SAFE changed last minute. They're the ones that changed last minute, changed the offer last minute. And most of the things that they had in the agreement anyway were not negotiated. Small little things like your... All of those things were not negotiated with. So we requested them to take that clause out. They refused. Instead, they said
Mr. Shabangu, we are unfortunately
I would like to reiterate this. SACA is not on a strike. It's SAFE that has locked out the members out of it. They've gone further to today. Today we were with them during the day, and they've now taken the entire offer off the table.
So where does that leave you as SACA? What is the way forward for the workers? And actually, how many workers are affected?
So what that leaves us is they have applied for Section 150 or Section 150 with the CCMA. So what that means is that they've requested for the CCMA to come in and help mediate this issue on Thursday. We're going to wait for Thursday and see if we can come to some kind of an agreement on Thursday. That's what we can do. That's the only thing for now that we can do. Other than that, we're gonna, depending on what happens on Thursday, of course, then we're gonna have to look at our options, legal options, to approach the courts on urgent basis, because we believe that SAFE has locked out, as much as it is their right to lock out the workers, but unfortunately at this time, they have locked out workers without any basis really, because nobody has refused their offer. Instead, they've been malicious by including things that were not negotiated. They're the ones that are forcing situations that are not there.
Yes. How many staff members are actually part of this being locked out?
So we have, SAFE has got 800, plus minus 800 cabin attendants, and SACA has got about 68% of those as its members. It's a majority union, and there's no other at SAFE. So we have 63. And I can tell you now, because of them changing this deal, now even the non-unionized people are getting to side with the union, because they can see where they're being, taken for granted, to be honest with you.
Is this going to impact logistics at FlySafe? Is this going to impact passengers at all?
Unfortunately, yes. It will. It might be okay for the first 2-3 days, or we don't know.
we don't understand what's going on. What are they doing? But yes, it will. It's an airline, and if there's people that are not coming to it, they will be affected. We estimate today alone that there have been, at least 34% of the flights have been cut, or at least. So it will definitely affect them.
Mr. Shabangu, I really do apologize. I have to end our conversation now because our line is, just going worse and worse as we continue. But we did thank you very much for bringing us up to speed on this matter as Mr. Shabangu, Christopher Shabangu, who is the Deputy President of the South African Cabin Crew Association. Thank you for joining us, sir. All right, we have lost him. But as he says, they are going to, they have already approached the CCMA. There is a mediation that is scheduled to take place on Thursday. Should they have no joy, they will be taking legal action and approaching the courts, clarifying the status of this particular impasse. He's saying that as SACA, the South African Cabin Crew Association, they are not on strike. Instead, it is the employer, which is FlySafair, that has locked the workers out. And he claims that they have maliciously included a clause that was not previously negotiated upon in the contract, which they, as SACA, had accepted, which is 7.5% annual bonus for 4 years, a meal allowance, a sign-on bonus, as well as a few other issues. But he says the majority of issues that were taken out of that contract have now been referred to the Labour Department, like injury on duty, maternity leave payments, etc. We'll keep you abreast of developments on that front. It is now exactly 23 minutes after 4 p.m.
Je, una jambo lolote akilini mwako? Je, una shauku kuhusu maswala muhimu? Na je, una maoni ambayo unataka yasikike? Kweli, hili jukwaa ni la kwako. Piga simu au tuandikie kwenda WhatsApp namba alama ya kujumulisha 2760552594 na tutakupigia simu.
Mtangazaji wa habari zetu za Afrika Kusini mjini Johannesburg.
Hivyo unaweza kuwa mshirika kwenye matangazo yetu. Sio mazungumzo tu, ni fursa yako ya kuchangia maoni yako na kushirikiana na jumuiya ya wasikilizaji wanaotamani mtazamo wako. Tufuate kwenye mitandao ya kijamii. Tembelea tovuti yetu www.channelafrica.co.za na uwe tayari kushiriki na kuchangia maoni yako kwenye Channel Africa. Channel Africa, mtazamo wa Kiafrika.
Where Africa's voices rise, with stories that matter, we lead the conversation.
Channel Africa, the African perspective.
It is 24 minutes after 4 p.m. Central African Time. South Africa's Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi says everything is on track for the upcoming G20 Leaders Summit. He says the province is ready to use the event as a major investment platform, especially to grow the tourism sector. Lesufi was giving an update on the efforts to improve service delivery across Gauteng, including infrastructure, water, roads, energy and disaster management. The G20 summit will be held at the Nasrec Expo Centre from the 22nd to the 23rd of November 2025. Our economics reporter Innocent Samosa has more.
Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi announced that the province's budget has been reprioritized, shifting funds from general service delivery to the Department of Roads. An allocation of approximately $8.25 million has been set aside to repair potholes and streetlights.
We have redirected our budget on service delivery, which is a normal process. For example, the Department of Roads in our province, we had to give them, how much did we give Wikidu? 150 million. We had to give them additional 150 million. To fix the street lights, to fix the traffic lights, and to fix potholes on main roads. And that's what municipalities did from their own budget. Okay, so we redirected. We didn't get new money either from national and other. The budget that we had, we redirected.
Last year, the province nearly returned $97 million to the National Treasury. Premier Lesufi says the issue isn't a lack of funds, but rather how the money is being used. That remains a challenge.
I always tell people, Gauteng does not have problem of money, we have problem of using money. I mean, last year we returned almost 1.8 billion that we could not use as a province. So it's not a problem of money, it's a problem of utilization of those funds. So we are working very hard to ensure that we sustain this. To me, and that's why I said to the executive mayors and the HODs, if we can sustain this, what the court order or the court ordered yesterday in Johannesburg give us an additional leeway to legalize and formalize our CBDs. We are not closing out anyone, but we are saying do it properly. We can't have people just opening business on pavements and there are no consequences. You can't say it, but be honest. Johannesburg has never been so beautiful for quite some time.
When it comes to investment, the big question is, how much will the province actually gain from hosting the G20 summit?
Yes, I don't have those figures, but we are of the strong view that this will be the biggest event that will bring huge investment in our province. Remember, it's the first time, not only as a country, but as a continent, that you host a G20 meeting of leaders.
As Gauteng finalizes preparations for the G20 Leaders Summit, attention now turns to whether the province can convert global attention into lasting economic opportunities. For Channel Africa News, I'm Innocent Samos in Johannesburg.
Africa in Business on Channel Africa.
It is exactly 4:28 Central African Time. Still coming up this afternoon, we'll take a look at efforts being made to ensure that the voices of civil society are included within the G20. We're talking about the G20 Social Summit, which will be hosted from the 18th to the 20th of November. As you know, it's literally just a few days, really, from the 22nd to the 23rd of November. That's when the G20 summit is going to be taking place, the first on the African continent, and South Africa being the host of that. You'll know we've been preparing for this for months on end, and now really this is the final tipping point. We'll be focusing on that social summit in just a moment with Dr. Nigiwe Bam, Princess Dr. Nigiwe Bam, might I add. She's the founder and global president of African Young Indigenous Leaders. Also today, we'll have our conversation with Standard Bank, our usual Standard Bank slot, and we'll be looking at the 8th China International Import Expo that's currently underway in Shanghai, China. We'll be having a conversation this afternoon with Philip Myberg, who is Business and Commercial Clients Executive Head for China at Standard Bank. That and a whole lot more coming up on Africa in Business this afternoon. But for now, let's take you through to the markets, where Nosipho Zuma is standing by with your latest market indicators.
Get the news, music, and lifestyle of Africa on Channel Africa, the African perspective. Business news on Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Thank you, Thami. Good afternoon. In your business indicators this hour, $1 is trading at 17.30 in South Africa. In Botswana is trading at 13 Bula 359. In Namibia, it is trading at 17 Namibian dollars 31. In Zambia is trading at 22 Kwacha 205. In Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shilling 48. In Ethiopia, it is trading at 153 birr at 358. In Uganda, it is trading at 3,000 shilling 462. In Tanzania, it is trading at 2,000 shilling 933. $1 in Nigeria is trading at 1,000 naira 445. In Egypt, the dollar is trading at 47 Egyptian pound 206. In Tunisia, it is trading at 2 dinar 933. In Algeria, it is trading at 129 dinar 656. In Morocco, the dollar will cost you 9 dirham 19. In Angola, the dollar is trading at 912 kwanza, while the Congolese franc is trading at 2,223 to the US dollar. Looking at commodities, gold is trading at $3,987 and platinum at $1,551 per ounce. The price of Brent crude oil is at $64.13 a barrel. Now, for any business news stories you would like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business, I'm Nusipho Suma.
Business News on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
And standing by for the latest from the business of sport, let's go through to the sports desk with Figile Lingwati.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Good afternoon, Thami. We begin with football news. The Nigerian Football Federation, NFF, is under intense scrutiny as federal lawmakers have launched a full-scale investigation into the alleged misappropriation of developmental grants received from FIFA and the Confederation of African Football, CAF. The House of Representatives resolved to investigate the reported mismanagement of financial grants, which allegedly total over $25 million given to the NFF between 2015 and 2025. During the hearing, Federal Representative Adidayo Olumuyiwa presented the motion, citing a lack of visible impact despite massive funding.
From these two continental and intercontinental soccer bodies. Further recall that in December 2016, FIFA sent an audit query to NFF over the misappropriation of the $1.1 development grant to NFS, and it was reported that $802,000 lacked proper documentation. The House therefore resolved, 1, to set up a special investigative audit committee to look into the activities and account of the Nigerian Football Federation from 2015 to date.
NFF President Ibrahim Gusau says the whole issue of probing the football house over the FIFA grants make of nothing other than the infiltration of politicians to football matters.
Even before they start releasing funds to the contractor to do his job. And while this construction was going on, people used to send their own people to come and inspect as it was happening. Before they release the next stage of funds, they want to be sure that you meet the level that you until they receive clearance on their construction before they can release the next stage of money to the contractor. After that, you are also aware that in 2023, when the project was commissioned, people sent their own delegation to the venue for the official commissioner of the project. And as I said earlier, immediately after that, people come out to congratulate Nigeria for achieving that mile. To compare it and compare the money to the worth of over 300 billion, and you are comparing it to a mini stadium of 1.2 billion.
A former president of the Nigeria Football Federation, Amuju Pinnick, has rejected claims of financial mismanagement related to the FIFA Gold project in Kebbi State, describing the controversy as a misunderstanding.
Their money, they audit their money, no issue there, and they have standard. So 80 quarter was about $1.1 million. $1.1 million will be 2020. How much of it is there? Less than 400 million there. That's what people don't know. Everything went according to plan. And even in the contract, I can share, it was stated clearly that there will go variation. And after COVID, you understand, he started DOD, you had workers on site, they COVID, everybody had to go. There was no additional direct to the contract. No variation. Even in spite of COVID, they were planning Nigeria football. I tell you can hit them as you pin.
And now on to Zimbabwe. Controversial businessman Wignell Chivayo has gifted $250,000 to 2025 Castle Lager Premier Soccer League champions Scotland FC. This comes a day after the team sealed its 2025 League Championship with a 5-1 win against relegated side Kwekwe United. Scotland FC became the second club since Black Rhinos in 1984 to win the PSL League title in its debut season. Mbaravira sealed its title with 2 games to spare. Scotland FC coronation will be held at Ascot Stadium on the last match day when they face Tel One. And in volleyball news, Confederation of African Volleyball CAVB President Buchra Hajij has urged Kenya to channel more investment and focus towards the men's national volleyball team, Wafalme Stars. Hajij praised Kenya's dominance in women's volleyball, marked by 10 African titles and multiple World Championship and Olympic appearances, but challenged the federation to extend similar support to the men's side. Despite consistent appearances in the African Volleyball Championship, Wafalme Stars are yet to make their debut at the Olympic Games or FIVB World Championships, often falling short against African powerhouses like Egypt, Tunisia, and Cameroon. At the same time, betting firm Mozart Bet Kenya announced a $115,000 sponsorship deal up from $77,000 that will cater for both the Malkaya Strikers and Wafalme Stars. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +2711 714 4459. This is Channel Africa Sport with me, Fikile Lingwati.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective. Listen in on Channel Africa.
Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Africa in Business on Channel Africa.
It is exactly 4:37 Central African time. Now, the Group of 20, which is the G20 Social Summit, will be hosted from the 18th to the 20th of November. The summit seeks to provide an inclusive platform that amplifies the voices of civil society, grassroots organizations, as well as local communities. The G20 Social Summit will also serve as the main platform for incorporating civil society voices into the G20 decision-making process. For more on this, we joined this afternoon by Princess Dr. Ngubeni, the founder and global president of African Young Indigenous Leaders. Princess Dr. Bam, welcome. Shall I use both the titles or do you prefer one?
One, Princess.
Shall we stick with the princess for today?
With the royalty.
Let's stick with the royalty. Well, I'm not going to argue with you on that one, Princess. Welcome. Good to have you with us.
Thank you so much, Thami.
So the G20 is just around the corner, literally on the 22nd and the 23rd of November. Everybody will be going to Nasrec, focusing on global issues, specifically from the G20 perspective. But looking at the social summit and the G20 social summit, what are the specific issues or the policy asks that indigenous young leaders are going to be advancing in the G20 process, especially as they relate to land rights? We're talking traditional knowledge, environmental justice, and cultural protection, which is something that's also very dear to you.
Thank you very much. Greetings to the listeners. Thank you so much, Thami, for hosting us today. Yes, I am Princess Ngubeni from the Eastern Cape, Engcobo, and I'm a lead facilitator for the C20 on cultural diversity, recognition, and embracement. So I'll just start with that process because as a C20, we had working groups that were looking into 14 areas, engagement areas. And on the cultural diversity, recognition, and embracement, we have included a lot of people, looked into different countries as well, and just having the voice of the people from the marginalized areas. We had countries like Cameroon, Kenya. So these countries are very rich with indigenous knowledge as well. And some of these countries like Tanzania, Kenya, Cameroon, you find that there's a lot of indigenous people that are actually not recognized. And so their voices might not be heard. So we have created that platform to have such voices because South Africa is the only country in the continent that is part of the G20. So we felt like we need to have a Pan-African voice.
Can you give us examples of some of the policy issues that you are going to be addressing and the policy changes that you as groups of indigenous peoples of the world, of indigenous peoples of the continent, are putting forward for consideration or inclusion in the G20?
Yes, we have put a strong voice on the inclusion of indigenous people in policy making, the indigenous knowledge systems, as well being economies, because most of the time people just refer to maybe traditional leaders as just custodians of culture. But we're saying that culture is a standalone pillar. It creates social cohesion, peace building, but there is also an economy that this aspect also creates. For instance, the cultural knowledge people like your women, they have a lot of skills that they can exchange with young people. There's a lot of opportunity for job creation because people look at culture as a performance only. But we looked into how this indigenous knowledge system can even address climate change, issues of food security. I think the voice was across all the working groups. If you talk about digital inclusion, we want our culture to be preserved, our stories to be told by AI. You want to talk about tourism. most of the tourism is on cultural tourism, is our museums. So when we make a call for the restitution of our artifacts, we want finance for those museums and security, because some of the artifacts, there's always an argument of where are we going to keep them. So the G20 countries, most of them are keeping these artifacts and they are making money in their museums, you know. So those are things that we can build on to create jobs for our people. Our people need to tell their stories. So, and then you look into other, like food security, which is other working groups. Food security cannot talk about food without addressing the issue of land, without addressing the issue of empowering women, because most of the time women are not given land, because you are a woman, you know, those cultural norms and stuff. So we have made a call to our traditional leaders, because we are saying we want our traditional leaders to be recognized and be included in the roundtable discussions, in policy making, in finance. But we also need to have transformation. We need to have education that will say we are part of the global space. Culture must change somehow, because when you address issues of women rights, GBV, sometimes our traditional leaders are not playing much of the role because they have got the land. There must be programs that empower these women.
And I mean, I wonder how young people fit into this, because when one speaks of culture, you often think of maturity, you think of elders, people who have been, you know, taught in the indigenous ways of its people. But how are young people being included in this drive, and indigenous youth specifically being able to contribute to the preparation of these policy recommendations?
One of our priority areas in our policy brief is in promotion of intercultural dialogues. So we are saying that we need to share knowledge. We need to have generational transfer of knowledge. We need to engage with all people and the young people. There's no like these are old people, so we cannot talk to them. So we need that, because that indigenous knowledge is sitting with these old people, and they need to pass it on to us. We need to learn how to grow the crops, how to
and also grow the crops based on indigenous knowledge
yes,
systems.
How to use our herbs, because we're also saying that our indigenous knowledge system, especially in medicine, we have made a very strong call on that integration.
And then the issues of trademark as well.
Yes,
and ownership of that.
Of course, our legal systems need to be in place to protect our intellectual property, because you find that when you talk of medicine, a lot of people will go to rural areas to take herbs, and then they will ask this person, what does this do? And then all of a sudden you find a container. Now you are told that this is mhlonyane, it have these benefits. But you find that the people that are actually benefiting, profiting on this, profiting on alu from rural areas in the land of our traditional leaders, there are a lot of herbs that are exploited, you know, and you find that now we are forced to take drugs, but this medicine is not promoted. So we have made it.
As in pharmaceuticals. When you talk about drugs, you talk about like pharmaceuticals versus indigenous systems.
Of course. So as civil society, we've just learned a lot from this G20, and also the financial part of it, that most of the things that are being discussed and proposed, they are profit making for other countries, but we are not benefiting much if we are going to stay back and just agree.
It certainly sounds like it's going to be a fascinating 2 days at the social summit. We're going to have to leave it at that for this afternoon, Princess Dr. Nikiwe Bam. So the G20 social summit taking place from the 18th to the 20th of November in South Africa. Certainly one not to be missed, as they also put together their inputs for the upcoming G20 on the 22nd and the 23rd of November. Thank you for your time, Princess.
Thank you very much to the listeners. We're looking forward to engaging more on everything that has got to do with what the government has proposed as well. And we want all the people to be there so that we can be heard by our governments.
And you've heard it from the Princess herself. It's an open call to be part of the C20. It is exactly 4:46 Central African time.
From markets to innovation. From markets to innovation. Africa in Business with Thami Ngubeni covers it all. With Africa's future in focus, Channel Africa, the African perspective.
It is exactly 4:46 Central African Time as we look at a high-level Estonian delegation will be in Cape Town as well as Johannesburg, South Africa between the 8th and the 14th of November. And they'll be here to launch Estonia's dedicated e-residency campaign. The Estonian e-residency platform will enable South African entrepreneurs to access the second largest single market in the world in a cost-effective manner and with minimal bureaucracy. During this visit, the Estonian delegation will meet with local businesses, industry forums and government representatives with the aim of building connections and raising awareness about the benefits of joining Estonia's leading digital economy among South African business owners. For more on this, we joined on the line by Daniel Scher, the Estonian ambassador to South Africa and Kenya. A very good afternoon to you, Ambassador. Welcome to Africa in Business.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
It all sounds really interesting. Could you tell us more about the Estonia's e-residency platform and what it is that it sets out to do?
Well, the e-residency is actually based on our entire e-governance system. So we have 100% of the government services are online. Everything can be done online. And this doesn't mean that it's in a digital manner. This doesn't mean, you're sending PDFs or documents, you're scanning them in. This is truly online. And this is given to our citizens, but also to our companies. And what the e-residency gives you access to the same ecosystem of running a European Union company. Estonia is a member of the European Union. And so if you become an e-resident and you open up your company in Estonia, you have access to the full EU market.
Talk to us about some of the benefits of Estonia. What are your key marketing pillars?
So we are quite a small country compared to a lot of our neighbor countries in Europe. We're 1.3 million people. So when we restored our independence in the early 1990s, we had to give services to the people. We had to do things in a more efficient manner. So what we're really good at is services, how to deliver services, how to deliver solutions in an effective manner. Our banking industry is strong, and we have, for example, 10 unicorns. So companies worth more than $1 billion in Estonia, companies such as Bolt, Skype, Wise, they've all been created in Estonia by Estonians. And this is what we're good at. And again, we're giving the same opportunity for a South African company who wants to expand to Europe, is you're able to become an e-resident and open this company, access all of this easy opportunities for doing business, and also being able to do business in efficient, low bureaucracy manner in Europe.
And what are the entry criteria? What does one have to be, or how do they need to be situated in order to qualify?
So for the e-residency, there's a website with a questionnaire of all of the basic details, and it's like a background control, looking at who you are you making sure that you don't have that you have a clean background, and then you're able to have the e-residency. The e-residency doesn't give you a visa to Europe, or doesn't give you an actual permit to live in Estonia in Europe, but allows you to become an e-resident to use the services. And then based on this, you're able to open up your company. So I think it's the key is that you have to have a clear reasoning as to why you want to become an e-resident. What is your goal? Having that plan in place, which again is expanding your company to Europe.
So, Mr. Ambassador, if it doesn't give you access to actual physical residency in Estonia or anywhere in Europe, how does one then get to run their company if they have to do it remotely?
So everything is done in Estonia is remotely. So, for example, our former president, went on a sailing trip to Antarctica to bring more attention to global warming and the climate questions. While she was on the sailing ship, on the sailboat on the way to Antarctica, she was able to sign legal binding documents from Estonia. So I think the key is that the e-residency allows you to run your business from your home and it's your EU business. So it's really very efficient. You can run your board meetings virtually because you have also an e-signature, which is legally binding in the European Union. So you can have your board meetings and done in a more efficient way. For example, in Estonia, the government cabinet meetings are average 15 minutes because all of the work is done previously electronically, and it's just to discuss more difficult political points is why they have the cabinet meetings.
So apart from the e-residency platform, I guess it will enable South African entrepreneurs to access the second largest single market in the world. What other assistance beyond the platform will these businesses be given?
So again, in Estonia, everything is very straightforward and transparent and simple. So everything has been made easier for the business person to do business. We have a flat income tax for income, and then also for reinvested dividends are not taxed. So if you reinvest into your company, the profits are not taxed until you take them out. So the system has been built up to be efficient and to let the companies do business.
So this is initially for South African entrepreneurs. Are there plans to roll this out into the rest of the African continents?
So this is actually an international platform. So we have over 110,000 e-residents around the world. So what we're rolling out in South Africa is a solution where we're actually going to come and deliver the e-residency cards on the spot. The thing is, for you to be able to get your e-residency card, you normally would have to go to an Estonian embassy. And the only embassy we have currently in Africa is in Egypt, in Cairo. So what we're rolling out is a pilot project to see how we can actually bring this e-residency to the citizens of South Africa, and not having to have them travel to an embassy or to Estonia to get the e-residency.
And how exactly does one sign up? Do you have details of the actual platform? Where do you go?
Yes, so there's an e-residency.ee website, and there's a link for the South Africa campaign there, and that all the details are there with the form. So it's e-residency.ee.
e-residency.ee. And I'm going to circle back to that one question I asked you just a moment ago, if there are plans maybe to roll this out on other countries on the African continent.
Yes, I mean, so if it's successful here, because what we need to do is we follow up with a consular mission, and it's again linked to the embassies. So if this does work in South Africa, we're happy to look at doing this in a wider way. But we do have e-residents from countries on the continent that we're a little bit over 400 e-residents in South Africa, and most of the countries on the continent already have a handful of e-residents. But this is to see how we can simplify the processes to give this opportunity to more Africans on the continent.
So you are going to be here. I mean, I'm speaking to you, and you're in China right now, right?
No, I'm in Brussels at the moment.
You're in Brussels at the moment. So you are going to be in South Africa between the 8th and the 14th of November. Does this mean that these are the dates within which the program will be officially launched in the country?
Actually the website is already open, and it's already taking applications, and it'll be a 3-week window to apply for the e-residency for those who want to pick up in South Africa. If your goal is to pick up in another embassy, for example, if you go to London, or if you go to Ankara, or if you go to or if you're coming to Estonia for some event, then you can put your pickup place somewhere else. But this is something we're doing specially, that you can put your pickup location to be South Africa, and we will bring, after the administration process, which takes about 3 months, we will bring those who meet the requirements will receive their cards in South Africa in February.
Ambassador Daniel Shire, thank you so much for your insight as well as this program. I'm sure it's going to do quite well. I'm sure there are many business owners and entrepreneurs that are waiting by on standby to get their e-residency program. We thank you for your time this afternoon.
Thank you so much, and we're really looking forward to cooperating with South Africa.
Well, great progress there. That's Daniel Shire. He is the Estonian ambassador to South Africa and Kenya. He brings us to exactly 4:56 Central African time. That's how we come to the end of Africa in Business for this afternoon. We did move our Standard Bank slot feature to tomorrow. We will be looking at the 8th China International Import Expo that is currently underway in Shanghai. But we say now bonjour to vous d'Afrique. Bonjour, 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 mademoiselle.
Bonjour Thami, bonjour à tous les auditeurs de Channel Africa et particulièrement de Vue d'Afrique car dans quelques minutes sur Vue d'Afrique il sera question de la fin du suspense en Guinée. Le général Mamadi Doumbouya a bel et bien déposé sa candidature. Nous parlerons également des violences à l'est de la République du Congo. C'est tout à l'heure sur Vue d'Afrique. Merci de rester connecté. Merci Thami.
Merci beaucoup from myself, Thami Ngubeni, and the entire team at Africa on Business. You have yourself a splendid evening further and restez connectés as Vue d'Afrique follows shortly.